Good morning, tubes. How you doing today? Mailman brought some stuff made in China. Successful successiness. Oh yeah, friggin' right. The latch latched and the alignments aligned. They all lived happily ever after. Okay, I'm in the trunk area of the BirdBox FireBird. What I got going on here is poor deck lid alignment. The deck lid on the driver's side here, if I tried to run my finger flush across, the deck lid is sticking out. Over on the passenger side, it's not bad. It's a little bit sticking out a little bit. You might also pay attention to these gaps. So the gap on the passenger side is pretty tight. Over on the driver's side, there's a bigger gap and it's hanging out a bit. So that tells me that the deck lid is out of alignment, but it also tells me which way to go. So the hinges are at the top 2 points of the glass. So if this side is fairly flush, and if the slots go forward and backward, I'll probably leave that one alone, because forward and backward it's almost flush. But if I take the driver's side and move it ahead, it'll also make this gap a little bit bigger or even it out, and this gap here will get smaller correspondingly. This is a common issue on the Camaros and FireBirds, the 3rd generation. So there are hinges at the top here. You can probably also go by this gap as well, because this gap seems to be bigger on the driver's side. There's 2 nuts here, so they're adjustable. This one looks like it has moved back, but this one does as well. So it makes sense if this hatch has been adjusted previously, or if there was an accident previously. I think what I want to do is I want to loosen up the driver's side and slide the driver's side ahead. I've got a 13 millimeter. And I'm going to make them loose. I'm not going to remove them, I'm just going to loosen them. And then I'll see if I can slide it back. I might take my marker and mark the position here, so before I move it, and I'll know if I've moved or how much I've moved. Got a black permanent marker. It's probably a good idea to mark all the way around the washer, and then if it moves, you know where it went and how far approximately. I'm not sure how much adjustment I'm gonna get here. This one looks like it's almost back all the way, or it's almost ahead all the way. So we'll see what we can do, I guess. Maybe I'll mark this one also. This one I can tell that it's been moved before. Okay, let's see what we can do here. I'm gonna break it loose. I've already broken the one loose. Okay, that should be enough. And I guess I'll see if I can push it or slide it ahead. You can see how it's loose and wiggling. Actually, the whole glass is flexing. That's probably not good. I might even close the trunk to try to get it lined up the best I can when it's closed. So I had to take these off because they push back, and they're under compression, and they're like spring loaded, and yeah, they're constantly trying to force it open, and that's how your trunk opens easier with these lift supports. But what they do is they push back, so when they're up here they might be pushing up, but they were making it very difficult for me to adjust the deck lid. So I undid them here, and it's only a 8mm, it's only a little 8mm bolt there on each side. So I undid that, and that allowed me to push the tailgate head much easier, a lot easier. So the only thing holding it up is this bar, and it's really heavy. So I'll have to reattach these because they're hanging over the seal. I could stick them out of the way for now, but there really is no such thing as out of the way because they're too hard to compress, and it's hitting the seal right now, so I can't close. So I'll have to hook these back up again, and then I can see how she looks. I might have to make some more fine-tuning adjustments. So if you max it out all the way and you can't get what you want, do you give up and cry and go home? Nope. Nope. So I think I've got those maxed out. I think they're ahead as far as they can go. But I'm looking for more. I want more. I really don't know if these are adjustable here, like they are in here. But there's one way to find out. These plastic caps come off, and I'm actually a little bit nervous about taking them off. But on the underside there's two nuts, so I'll see if I can get the nuts loose, and there seems to be a little bit of adjustment here as well. So adjustment on this end, and I think there's some on this end. But these ones here, you don't have to take your headliner out to access the nuts, or you can pop the caps off, and I think there's like a head here, like a Torx head or something. So I'll see if I can get the nuts loose, and I'll see if I can get some adjustment here. I might do 1, 2, and 3. I might adjust 3, and I might keep 1 over there tight. That way I have like a pivot point. And I'll try to get this driver's side ahead a bit more. I'll see if I can get any adjustment that way. Those are the nuts there. They go through the glass, so I'm going to be very careful, a lot more careful. If I'm adjusting these ones, I'll be a lot more careful. And I also have these disconnected because they push the deck lid back, and I'm trying to get it to go ahead. Okay, I took a wrench, 13mm wrench, and I used the open end. I stuck it on there. It's hard to see because of this weather seal, but got both of these ones here turning fairly loose. I just noticed something just now. Just right now. There's a pin, the pin that goes through the hinge. The pin on this side is loose, or it seems to be sliding out towards the center. So that might be a part of my problem right there. The pin is moving. So I can probably tap that pin back in, hopefully. There's not much room up here in this gap, but where there's a will, there's a way, and I'm willing. I'm willing. You might notice those splines there on the right side. They're actually hitting the nut, and that's a center pin for your hinge. So the center pin seems to be moving, so it's out of alignment. I'll see if I can get that back in maybe before I do anything drastic. Got a couple of punch bars. long and slender. It's going to be a tight spot to get at, but I'll try to tap the pin back in again. Got the smallest hammer that I'm comfortable with. It's a tiny little thing, but yeah, that makes me a little more comfortable, and I don't want to break the glass. So I'll take the punch and I'll try to get the punch in this side, and I'll try to punch that pin back in again. Hey, that's not too bad. Not as bad as I thought it would be. Oh my goodness, it's actually working. I'm trying to be slow and careful and easy. I'm gonna take my time. If you come to a dead stop, then you might not be lined up perfectly on your hinges, but so far so good. I was not expecting that. So this might help a lot as well as the adjustments. I feel like I'm slowly getting more confident, and I'm almost past the washer. But that nut is actually in the way. My punch doesn't land in the center of the pin, but seems to be working. Seems to be getting tighter. Don't want to break anything. Okay, that's good. Got the pin drove back in again where it belongs. I had no clue that pin was actually coming out until I went to adjust it. So anyway, now we can continue adjusting, and I don't have to worry about misalignment or hinges being out of whack. Okay, good news is I got the pin back in, and I got more good news. This is adjustable. It's not a lot, but I think it's possibly enough to make it better where I want it. So I'm probably just going to slide it all the way ahead. I don't want it to slip back again, so I do want it to be tight, but I don't want it to be too tight where it's going to put a lot of pressure on the glass or something like that. So I'll just go ahead and tighten everything back up again and close it and see where it's at. Okay, let's try that and see what happens. I keep calling it a trunk, but I guess it's like a hatch or something, I don't know. Well, seems a lot better. I need to adjust my hatch latch now. My hatch latch seems to need adjustment now, but that makes sense because if you move the hatch, you might have to move the latch accordingly. This driver's corner was sticking out quite a bit. It's almost flush now. The gap on this side used to be huge, and it's a little better now. It's more equaled out now. I believe this is a common issue with the third generation F-body cars. When I took the lift arms off and lifted it, I was like, wow, this thing is friggin' heavy. This thing is ridiculously heavy. I've even considered deleting the rear glass or making like an El Camino or leaving it open like a truck in the back. The spoiler, this is a really lightweight spoiler. It's lighter than the factory FireBird one, but I was discussing weight reduction previously, and I'm sort of keeping an eye on the weight. But that's way better. It's not sticking way out like it was. The gaps are looking better here, and The gap is looking better across the top. Everything's looking just all around better. So I'll try that, adjust the latch, go from there. So I think this car was in an accident like a long time ago when it was almost new, or it had been repainted or repaired or something when it was fairly new. So I'm guessing they've had it apart and they didn't do a very good job when they realigned the panels. So now I'm going to check the position of the striker relative to the latch. And since we were adjusting back and forth and left and right and ahead and back, I'm going to make sure that it's landing in the center of the striker. So I want it to come down in the center, not off this way or that way. So it looks pretty good there. It looks pretty center. I've seen a lot worse, but it's not latching. So I'm going to try to raise the latch up a little bit. Make a mark for my baseline. So if I adjust it, I can tell where I'm at. This is just a manual latch. This is not a power latch. I don't want it to be too loose so it just falls down. Just enough that I can adjust it and wiggle it. Okay, this side here is adjustable now. I'm going to go up a bit, which should make it latch earlier. Keep an eye on my old mark so I know how far I'm going. I don't want to go very far because the trunk seal, I want the trunk seal to be tight. Oh shoot, I went too much. Try that. I'm gonna tighten them up really good because I don't want anything to shift or move before I check alignment. First try. First friggin' try she latched. Isn't that nice? Friggin' right it is. Oh my goodness. We have a success story. That never happens. Success story? Oh my goodness. Successful successiness. Oh yeah. Friggin' right. So she's latched. The deck lid is sitting just a hair lower, which means I could raise the latch up a little more. So I can feel that the deck lid is a little bit lower than the quarter, but that's okay. I want the trunk seal to be tight. It seems to be lining up way more flush across the back. It's actually like perfect. I hate to use the P word, but wow, that's pretty darn good right there. Everything's lined up, the latch lined up on the first try. Everything's way better. The gaps are good. This one took a little bit of adjustment. I've got both maxed out, like the hinge at the body is pretty much maxed out all the way ahead, and the glass as well. So the latch latched and the alignments aligned, and they all lived happily ever after. Good morning, tubes. How you doing today? Mailman brought some stuff made in China.